And welcome to Nerds on Hip Hop. This podcast is about the intersection of hip hop and nerd life. Bubsy, Pepsi Man, Saga, Wyclef Jean, and Uncle Luke are all fair game. And if you know any of these names, welcome.
If you don't know, there are four main parts. We first review our weeks in nerddom and hip-hopdom. Then we explore themes through our hip-hop and nerd influences. At the end, we ask ourselves a question and also open up to your questions.
I'm TheWolvesden, and I'm here with the way cooler co-host.
Not true. But I'm Victoria, aka Miss Old School.
AKA Sailor Scout.
Yay! So welcome to Nerds on Hip Hop.
And we start off with our weekend reviews of nerddom. And I'm going to start off doing something I don't get to do. Talk about something that was really, really bad.
Yeah, I feel like we do focus on things that are really good a lot. So this should be interesting. What did you watch that was really bad?
Right. And I'll just say, I try to take the ninth wonder school of approach to things as I focus on things that I care about and really just go into them. But you don't always get to do that.
No, I mean, sometimes you're surprised about things, and things turn out bad, and you have to deal with it.
Right. So, I watched this anime called Cheating Craft. And I started it last year. I may even mention it on the podcast last year, but I didn't finish it until this year, and it's not like I stopped because like something came in the way or just came hard to watch. It was just like, what am I doing with my life? And I should not be asking that when each episode is 10 minutes.
Wow. Wait, how many episodes is it total?
12.
Wow.
Exactly.
That's terrible.
And so here are the two things. I was excited to watch it because two things were interesting. One, it's a Chinese animation. China has been kind of breaking their way slowly into the anime industry, and I wanted to kind of see what they'd be able to provide. And so I was excited just like for curiosity's sake. And then the premise was interesting, which is that you have a character who's going to have to like cheat through exams to succeed. I was like, that could, if it's a 10-minute show, you could come up with pretty like neat gags to make it work.
Right. So wait, sorry. Is this 10 minutes including the theme song and end song?
Pretty, like 10 to 12 minutes including that, yeah.
Okay, so sorry, go ahead.
And the very first episode is really solid. It's what you expect. It's not like they don't invest a lot into their animation, but animation's pretty solid. And the gags that they create for like, it feels like the Chunin exam from Naruto, which is like where you have to like stealthily cheat. And they set up this world where it's like, if you fail at school, your life is entirely in shambles. It's not like in shambles like in the West, if you don't have education, you can't get a job. But it's like, if you don't have a job, you are like literally out on the streets in like garb that doesn't work. Like it's take the kind of like, if you don't go to school, you're not going to get a job that parents tell you all the time. And then like raise the stakes up of like, you're either going to be a CEO or you're going to be homeless. Like that is literally the two ways of life. So they raise the stakes that way, and it's very comedic, but it's almost kind of like, you can tell that they're poking fun in certain ways, and that essentially there are two types of students. There are the students who do the hard work, and then there's like expert cheaters. And the very first like episode, or even first two episodes, are like, let us find like the creative ways to cheat. Like this guy came up with an idea that I still remember to this day. Like they came up with good gags where like one guy used a ping pong ball and then like threw it across the classroom, kind of discreetly, but it would every time it landed on the paper, like the ink would kind of copy onto the ping pong ball, so when he got it back, he could write off the ink. I was like, that's clever. It's dumb, but it is. It's I'm going in expecting just very good visual gags, and that's all I really wanted from it. Like I think that the point of like a 10-minute show is to like be gag oriented and just like see if you can come up with just like the most ridiculous things. But it's like, what made that first episode good is that you created a rule set of like, people are gonna go in, they're gonna cheat, but they have to find, like, the teachers would always change up where the test is taking place. Like the people had to take a test in like the sea, and then some like natural disaster was happening. Like it'd be ridiculous. But to me, the whole idea, the thing that made it work is like, you have a premise, you're gonna cheat, people are gonna come up with like random like Naruto Shonen levels to solve to try to cheat and not get caught, and the whole goal is not to get caught. And they took liberties with it in the first few episodes. Like, people really got angry at like the second and third episode because essentially the examiner caught them, kind of. But in getting caught, it turned into like this weird battle shonen at the same time. But it was supposed to be metaphorical for them to like evading the examiner. Like, it was really dumb. It didn't work, but it was close. Like, you could tell that they were still trying to follow their own rules, that it didn't matter. But it's like the gags that they kept on coming up with was good enough, but it didn't bother me. But the thing that ended up happening is that they just started losing the rules. Like, they would just start cheating, and their examiners could easily see them. Like, nothing was really becoming clever anymore. And this is by like the third or fourth episode. Like, they ran out of material ideas fast. They started trying to go to like this kind of like, well, these guys are in a school, so we're gonna kind of develop the high school relationships. I'm like, y'all don't have time to develop relationships with people. Like, what are you doing? Like, y'all don't have the time to build, like, I mean, he has to go, like, his father is missing for, I'm like, where are you fitting this in? Y'all have 10 minutes. Y'all have 10-minute episodes. Y'all can't be, like, cramming in, like, family legacy stories in the middle of this. What is supposed, I mean, like, it and the thing is that it doesn't work well enough where that the gags are so good, but you don't care. Because that, and don't get me wrong, some of the gags work out, and I didn't mind, like, how dumb the shonen stuff can get, but it's like, the payoff that I got for the first 2 to 3 episodes was gone. I mean, everything else was a slog to get through.
That sucks. It sounds interesting from the way you're explaining it, but I'm just like, man, it sucks that it sucks. And I get, like, I can see why. I get, for a 10-minute show that's only 12 episodes, it should be a very simple premise and just, like,
just execute
do this one thing. Yeah.
And
it's like, you had one job thing.
right, like, you don't, it's not like you just have one job. You don't have the time for more than one job.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
You have minimal time.
And I think it could be done, though, and, like, but it would have to be in a way that's just better. Like, a better writer or a better creator. Is someone who could pace it well. I think it could be done well, but the way it sounds like it's not meant. It wasn't done well, and it's just not right for it.
Yeah, it was a disappointment. I was so excited for it. But
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I realized letting excitement get the best of me is not always the way, and that's kind of my transition into Wonder Woman. I'm gonna let you speak first before I kind of get attacked by the world.
Most likely. I mean, I'm probably gonna get attacked too. So I thought Wonder Woman was a super solid movie.
Good words. I'm with you so far. I appreciate this.
It was solid. Like, that's like, it was well paced. The story was very, like, straightforward and clear. Like, I felt like they took me from step A to step B to step B to step C. Wait, did I do that right? I might not.
No, you didn't, but it's okay.
Well, step A, B, C, D. Sorry. I'm saying it did a good job. And it was funny because before I went in, I saw a meme where it was just like, everyone else, Diana, no. And then Diana, yes. That's kind of the, like, meme I had in my mind when I went in. And I was just, like, giggling throughout the whole movie because that's literally what it is. Like, every time someone's like, no, Diana, you can't do this. You can't go in this room. You can't do this. And she, of course, just always does it because it's like, yeah, okay, sure. I'm doing it. Sorry. But yeah, and of course, I think that's just like it's a metaphor for feminism where it's like, you know, breaking glass ceilings and getting indoors that people tell us we can't be in. But yeah, I'm gonna go with that for now. I'm gonna start with that. I'll let you speak for a bit, and then what do you think?
Yeah, no, I think that's a good point. I think in a certain sense, Diana captured her being a god in that sense too. It's like, well, these puny humans don't really understand what it's like to be a god, so I'm just gonna do this anyway too. I was like, that's kind of a dualism of like, this is kind of about DC in general, because that's how the characters are, like, in contrast to Marvel is like, these are humans who have powers, where DC is often, these are gods who have to interact with humans.
Right. Sorry. No, I was gonna say, which reminds me, like, it reminded me of First Avenger more than anything else. Like, I've been hearing a lot of comparisons to different movies, but I feel like First Avenger is the closest one for me.
I could definitely see that.
Just because, I mean, I mean, obviously they both are set around the same time. And then, but I think just at the end, it's minor spoiler alert if you haven't seen it, but like spoilers. You know, Chris Pine's character, forgot his name, dies at the end. And like they kind of, obviously they lose their chance at love, and she kind of lives on to the future because she's semi-immortal or immortal. And it kind of reminded me back to when Captain America, like, he had that date with Peggy, and like he gets trapped in the thing, and then, you know, next thing he's in the future, and it's like lost chance at love kind of thing. And plus, just like both of them started off as these propaganda symbols for like people fighting against the Nazis and just American symbols.
Right. Right, but I think that's the thing that's very important about Diana, is that she isn't a propaganda symbol. Like, she is I think this movie nailed it at home. She is a big part of our history, and her history is not always this way, but a big part of her history is her being as pure as snow. Like, she is as good as it is. Like, there's a reason why people consider, like, her hopeful and so forth, and, like, classic comics deal with the fact of, like, what happens when Wonder Woman kind of loses her hope, because that's what she is. So I think in a certain way that's a compliment to Wonder Woman, but I think it also makes me think, when I make the comparison between Wonder Woman and Captain America, I already loved Diana before going into this film. I did not love Captain America going to Captain America that much. And I think I walked out loving Captain America, and I don't think my love for Diana changed, and that's okay. Like, it's not. I think she's perfect. I think Gal Gadot killed it. I think the most important thing is that Wonder Woman's the best thing about her movie by far.
I agree completely. Definitely, yeah, that is true. Because when I went to Captain America, I knew nothing about him, and I went out like loving him. And of course, Wonder Woman, I was already a fan. Like, I wanted to wear I had Wonder Woman socks, and I wanted to wear them today, but I forgot. I mean, I couldn't find them. So I wore my Catwoman socks. I was like, that's close. That's DC,
yeah,
at least.
And you couldn't wear your Wonder Woman swimsuit either, so.
I could not wear my Wonder Woman. I mean, I could have, but I wasn't in the mood for stairs.
Yeah, not the move.
Not the move.
But so overall I like the movie a lot. I just don't love it. I wanted to love it. I went in saying that they were taking notes from the Captain America, the First Avenger, and I was like, this is it. This is going to be my second favorite comic book film, maybe even my first. And I just walked out and I was just like, not really. Like, this is great.
Right.
Like, it restored a lot of hope in, like, future DC films. And I think part of it is that Themyscira was amazing. Like, everything about, like, what you saw visually, the relationships that they were building in Themyscira, the ensemble fight scene with the arrows versus the military troops, like, all of that was blow for blow impeccable. And it kind of felt like the rest of the movie was great, but that opening, like, 20 minutes to 30 minutes was immaculate. Like, it was just too. It's what I wanted a movie all in Themyscira. Like, that's pretty much what I ended up wanting, and I think, and that's not a bad thing. Like, if you give me something I wanted and I just want more of it, that's a sign that you accomplished what you were supposed to do. And I don't even think the best scene of the movie happens there. I just think the best part of the film happens there, because I think the best scene in the film is when they all take that, like, little rest period before they start going on to no man's land, and they're all around the campfire. That's still my favorite part of the film. I think they get a lot of character work done there, build relationships well there, and just talking about, like, Diana growing as a character of, like, the world is kind of a messy place, and that being hammered over and over again. You don't get that without that little rest period being the transition moment of, like, when she starts piecing together fully that Steve Trevor, not Chris Pine, Steve Trevor is not a perfect person. Like, she started noticing that get-go, but you talk about, like, I still think of that scene where the dude was like, when she was like, so what happened to your people? Well, his people, pointing to Steve Trevor, killed my people.
Right.
And I wanted them to kind of go hammer in on that more, because I mean, that to me is the heart of the film, is like she learns more about humanity's complexities, and that you can forgive, you can love, you can do all these things. And I think she was always holding on to that, but it's just learning that there's a lot of moral gray in doing such things. But I think that they could have done something else to kind of like see that the characters love one another, even though they kind of like are a bunch of people who aren't like fantastic people. But
Yeah.
when I think I might have just been asking for the wrong thing.
Maybe. I do agree that I think a movie just on Themyscira would be like the most amazing thing ever. Like, they need to do that for sure. Especially like we were talking, like Robin Wright in this film is the like most amazing thing ever. And it's even more amazing because I forgot that like not only does she play Claire in House of Cards, but she's also like Jenny from Forrest Gump, and she's also I forgot her name, but she's also the main character in Princess Bride. And even just from Princess Bride, I'm just like, it's just a cool way to like see, I mean, maybe not so much Jenny, but just like how her character, like she's able to be like this really cool person in each of these movies and films. And then just like, yeah, this is probably just the best thing I've seen her in, though, just because it was just like, it was one of those things, like I didn't know how much I wanted this until I saw it. And it was amazing.
Yeah, and they came through for the sisters too. Like I did not expect to see so many of the black women represented in Themyscira. Like that is canonical, but I didn't. They went out of their way to make sure that you saw every shade of black shown. They went out of the way. Okay, I must have. Which shade was not represented? I saw the dark. I saw caramel. I saw you. And they made sure. I felt that they made sure to make sure that it's like, because at first the first black woman you see is not a soldier. I was just like, oh, y'all really gonna tokenize us that way a little bit? I felt, and then when I saw that Rest Island, I was like, all right, my bad, I was wrong. Y'all were right. and it's not, and they didn't have to do that, because it's not on my understanding of Themyscira is not that it's always been like a lot of black women represented from just like the images I remember seeing, or even the little bit of reading of the New 52 run with Azzarello. But I think obviously we know of Nubia, obviously we know things like that exist in the larger canon, and I think they gave us a lot to see, even though none of them were like major characters by any means.
Yeah, I went in thinking there weren't going to be any, and so that was my mindset. So when I saw black women in this film, I was just like, oh man, like I'm sated-ish. But I do feel like the first woman we see is her like kind of nanny-ish person. And then we see like this kind of brutish woman, and like it was a really cool highlight, but part of me felt a little bit weird about it, just because like it seemed like she was fighting, not using her mind, but just like, I'm strong. Which is still, like, respectable and commendable, but it was just, like, someone, like, hit her, and she just, like, turned around angry, and it was just like, ah. But then I learned later that she's not a boxer, but she's somebody. But yeah, and then, like, and there's another woman later who has, like, one speaking line. I forgot what it was. Oh, yeah, and I thought that was cool. She was the one who said, like, if we kill him now, we're not going to know what he knows.
Right.
And so that made me happy. I was like, all right, that was a good line. That showed, like, brilliance. Showed her, like, I was really analyzing, like, all the black women. I was like, all right, that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Got it.
Okay, that's interesting, because I really more so what I think of a black woman, I was also just thinking of the ones that were just in the combat field training. Like, I didn't focus on... I didn't really pay attention to the ones who had more, like, immediate roles. I was just like, when you look at Themyscira as a full island, and you just looked at all the different training sequences, I was just like, we are represented overwhelmingly so.
That is very true. Like, yeah, we were in every shot probably in Themyscira that had, like, a bunch of Amazons. Right. Which, yeah. So I definitely, like, I was happily surprised. Of course, I was just, like, I was skeptical, but I was also happily surprised. I was just like, all right, there are black women, all right.
I think we've been trained to be skeptical in general, but I feel in a good place now. That's like we've had like a couple of films now where we get like a variety, a range of black faces. I mean, in Civil War we had like 4 different black people represented in multiple personalities, and now you see them Themyscira in DC.
Right.
So I'm more than pleased.
And I mean, it might just be. I mean, I did watch the Black Panther trailer right before I went to go see this movie, so that doesn't help at all. But no, we'll get to that later. But I'm just saying.
No, I think, what I wanted to make sure is that I don't want this to be like, it's a Wonder Woman or Black Panther who came out for black people. Like, that's not what this is. A lot of things have kind of happened. It's like, oh, now we're going to place woman against black folks. I was like, that's not what we're doing. Like, and it's very quick. It's so easy to be like, oh, well, this was kind of woke. Well, that's kind of woke. Well, which one is more woke, son? Like, no, let's not do that. Let's appreciate we got one. And they did a very good job. And then let's talk about how amazing this trailer was.
Yes.
Did you really just do that on a like recorded podcast? You've never done that.
I did do that on a recorded podcast. You know what? It's the Black Panther trailer coming out. I'm sorry. Like, it's just happening.
I'm not sure how I feel about this.
I think you're just gonna have to accept it, to be honest with you.
I might have to start Geeks and Rap.
That's fine. I'll just start my... What is it?
You don't know it, that's right. Anyways.
Yeah.
So the difference is that you saw the Black Panther trailer live and had the Black Twitter reaction simultaneously. So take me through that, because I saw it way later. I had to hear it filtered through you because I was not at home watching the game.
Tears.
Which also meant that I missed out on seeing it live. So bring me through. Take me all the way.
Well, I didn't see it exactly live. I was about 30 minutes late, but still, like, Black Twitter obviously was still just, like, in full gear, just, like, pulling out the gifts, just, like, going crazy. So when I finally did watch it, just blew me away, because I had high expectations for this movie. Or maybe not high expectations, but I knew it was going to be good. I was like, this is going to be good. Like, I saw the people they had involved with it. I was just like, this is going to be a good movie. But they still exceeded my expectations. Like, from the costume designs, the way Lupita looks, the way the Dora Milaje looks, like, it seems like they are going to come through for black women in this film. Like, it's just super, super interesting. Especially, like, the beginning. Like, I really felt like they brought Coates' imagery to life.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Like, a lot of the scenes in it just made me feel like they were panels from the Coates run.
Yeah, shout out to Brian Stelfreeze, the artist for the current Coates run.
Yes.
We give you all the supreme props for immaculate work, and it's awesome to kind of see that still coming to life.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, just like, I thought it was just amazing. And just like seeing Black Twitter react, I think just makes it even better, because it became this super cultural moment immediately. And it's just like, people are like planning their outfits for like all the way in February. People are like talking about they're gonna come dressed as like coming like King Joffrey Joffre and coming to America. Just going crazy. It was amazing. It was just an amazing thing to be a part of, and I cannot wait for February now. But I don't think I'm gonna watch any more trailers for Black Panther though, because I'm afraid of spoilers, and I feel like they just give away too much nowadays. So I'm like, the teaser was perfect. I got the tone. I got like what it's gonna feel like. I got like some visuals. Like, I'm good. I'm excited. What did you think when you finally saw it?
So I went in with high expectations. I right now I think Marvel is firing on all cylinders. I think, especially after seeing Guardians of the Galaxy 2, which I think is like a top, like probably one of the best comic book films I've ever seen, easy. And like, they're firing on all cylinders. Thor looks like it's going to be jaw dropping. Like, and mind you, I'm the only one who enjoyed the first 2 Thor films, so there's that. And I think what we saw from Black Panther in Civil War was a miniature character arc that was like really meaningful. So like, there's a lot to live up to. in both like in a cultural sense, but it's like for a lot of people, he stole Civil War away from Tony and Cap, and he had a meaningful character arc that was that's as big as the whole film. So I was floored. I did not think it would look like, I thought it was going to look good, but it looked excellent. And I didn't think it could look better than what I was hoping it to look like. I said this to you off wax, and I'm gonna just bring it back on wax. That first opening scene where you just see like that first pan of Wakanda, I was like, this is a dream of like, go back to I forget which Matrix is the first time where you see Zion. I think it's Matrix Reloaded. I think you don't get to see Zion in the first one. I think that's the case.
No.
So it's Reloaded, and the imagery of like that place of like being a very diverse set of people and just kind of the raw earthiness of that. It feels like that dialed all the way. It's like they took the Afrofuturism as they're supposed to, crank that to 10, and just take that like imagery of Zion all the way there to make Wakanda. And I was like, y'all figured it out. Y'all pieced it together in that way. Because I realized the thing that surprised me most is that we didn't really see Wakanda at all. Like, we weren't in Wakanda. We saw a bit of it at the end when they were freezing Bucky, but there's nothing that up until this point that would really indicate what Wakanda is. One of the things that I think I found was like very deliberate is that they opened the film with two white guys talking. The opening trailer.
That was interesting to me too.
And I was like, that's very deliberate. You know, and part of it.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
It's also reunited Golem and that Bilbo Bickham.
I did not even catch that. But for me, what was important about that is that nobody would have any understanding of Wakanda, because when they came to do the protocols, there was nothing there that would indicate that they're a technologically advanced place necessarily. Besides the suit, you don't really have anything to really tell you about Wakanda in Civil War.
Yeah, they know they have vibranium, but I mean that's just a...
Right. That doesn't give you like an insight to like how the people live or how amazing Wakanda is supposed to be.
Right.
And to me, that opening dialogue of like, so tell me about Wakanda. And the guy's just like, well, it's just this third world country. I was just like, of course, that's the disposition that everybody would have of like an African nation. Like, if you're a mainstream person who has not read the comics, who has no phrase, it's like, we're going to Africa, we're going to a third world nation. That's what you're going to say. And then the guy's like, no, I saw it.
Yeah. That's not what it is, huh?
Right. It's just, and essentially it's like, what you saw was a facade. and then you get that shot of like Wakanda and then the plane coming off. I was just like, they nailed that. And then the two other things I felt was important was that they said clearly it's like being, I forget what he's like, the words exactly, it's like being a king. It's like being a king is hard, or it's like being a king representing people. Like essentially, that's the story of like who he is. Like up until this point, T'Challa has not been king in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. This is the first movie as king. This is the movie where he's gonna feel the burden of the people. This is where all of that's gonna come to play, and that's the heart of Black Panther. We read it in the beginning of the Christopher Priest run. We read it in Coates' run. It's always, man, Black Panther is thinking, like, man, do I really want to be king? Like, that's literally the question at every time. It's like, something's going on in this right. And now, right, but as you said, the main difference is that he's already been king in each of those scenarios. Now, the scenario is like, now he's becoming king. So this is going to be the first, like, real test of the people. And I think that's the other piece, is that the most important thing I've gained from the comics, reading the comics over the last year, is that the most important character in Black Panther is not Black Panther. It is Wakanda. It is about the people. It's about the regime and its relationship to the people. That's what this is. That's what the Black Panther comics is about. And to me, I think that clearly they communicated that by how they showed Wakanda on a larger scale, how they showed everybody else who's tied to Wakanda, the diversity of people who are there. We saw Shuri, we saw, I keep forgetting Black Panther's mother's name. You remember? Ramona. Like, you've seen everybody, and all these people are all, the story is going to be about the kingship, and it's going to be about what Wakanda is. And that's why I think that opening setup was so important, and that's why I think the imagery is equally as important. They need to nail Wakanda the way that DC nailed Themyscira, and the way that Marvel already nailed Asgard.
Yeah, I think this Wakanda is going to play a character in this as much as all the other people, like, because we are getting a lot of people are getting an introduction to Wakanda. This is the first time we're going to see Wakanda in a live action film, so that's going to be important. By the way, the quote is, you're a good man, you have a good heart, and it's hard for a good man to be a king.
Yeah, that's everything.
Yeah.
Once I heard that, it's like, they got it. We're ready.
Yeah. And it's funny, because now that you mention it, I didn't realize, because I didn't know that Wakanda is this, like, secret place, and outside of that is, like, this third world lookish, city. But it makes me think back to when he brought Bucky there. That means a lot more now.
That's a good point. I realize I don't know how typically Wakanda is recognized from the outside. So I'm going based on the trailer. They make it sound like it's supposed to be an entirely secretive looking place.
Right.
To give off that facade. But I don't think I've ever seen that in the comics. But right now, the comics you and I have read have pretty much people have invaded Wakanda in each of these stories. So
exactly, yeah.
We don't really get to have anything like to indicate whether or not they had a facade before they got infiltrated.
Right, yeah, that's what it seemed like they were angling at. So, okay, I thought it was just me, because I'm like, I don't remember that in the comics, but obviously I haven't read every Black Panther comic, and not many origin stories, so I guess it might be a new thing, or it might not be it at all, but yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember what happened in Fantastic Four, because that's how Black Panther got introduced, and I remember that... Black Panther was originally introduced in a Fantastic Four issue.
Oh, I thought you meant the movie. I was just like...
No,
that doesn't sound right at all.
No, I was just like trying to go back to like, even in that introduction, I don't know if they made Wakanda seem secretive. It was secretive in the sense that nobody knew about Wakanda when they first came. Like I forgot what the full setup was. Like somebody from Wakanda went, met the Fantastic Four, and then the Fantastic Four went to Wakanda, never really having heard of the place before, and then they get put through some trial or some fight by Black Panther. That's what I remember of that issue. So like it was secretive, but it was not secretive in the sense of like, oh, there's this like barrier around it that's trying to give off a different vibe of just more so it's like no one's been to Wakanda before.
Right. Yeah. So anyway, long story short, we are excited about this movie.
Yeah, I want to apologize. So typically we do one mutual thing for nerddom and one mutual thing for hip hop, but
yeah, we
just decided that there are no albums equally important as the release of the Black Panther trailer. So
nah. Although their use of "Run the Jewels" song was amazing.
Yeah, can anyone actually go back? Go ahead.
Sorry, it's called Legend Has It. That's all.
Yes. Now I was gonna ask if you guys remember our first Black Panther comic episode. Mikael called that Legend Had It would be...
Oh, he did that on the episode.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think he did that on the episode. So if anyone wants to be the great fan and find exactly if it's the first or second episode we did with Mikael.
Yeah, and then you can go and call him a prophet that he is. A hip-hop prophet. for movie trailers specifically.
Yeah, just trailers.
Just trailers.
But that's not the only thing you nerded out on. What else did you nerd out on?
Yeah, so I've been on this kind of anime kick lately. Like, My Hero Academia has been amazing. But since I caught up with that, I decided to finally check out Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid. And I love it. Like, I've heard good things about it, and I kept hearing, like, people, like, saying how much they liked it. And sometimes that checks out, and sometimes it doesn't. So I kind of went in, like, okay, like, I'm most likely gonna like it, but I might not. And like from the first scene, I loved it. Like you see Miss Kobayashi like walking out, and then just like huge dragon face, like staring at her like menacingly, and then she turns into this like super cute girl, and she's like, "Hey, you invited me to stay here and live." It's just like, wait, what? And like she's still not over the shock that she just saw a dragon, and I think her adjustment is a little bit fast, but it kind of fits into her. She kind of has this kind of like Daria thing going on, so it kind of fit where she just like, yeah. And then apparently she was drunk when she invited this dragon home, and she thought it was just like drunkenness, like this isn't really a dragon. And then of course she like decides to like hire her as, well, she's not paying her, but she brings her in as a maid, or she volunteers to be a maid. And it's funny because like I think the thing that's cool about it is that, so the dragon's name is Toru, or Taru, and she says that she's like sexually interested in Kobayashi, like she has a crush on her, like she's in love with her, like she likes her. And at first it's like, really? Like, why? Because like she's kind of like put as this like very homely, like plain Jane person, like she's like complaining about her back's hurting, like she's like tired of going to work, like she's on the train, like she's a homebody. Like,
so you're saying homebodies can't be people who can be crushed on?
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying she's made to be this very like homely person on purpose, and I just think it's cool that Toru's like, this is the person for me, like she's not. And then like later on you see, like you learn more about her, and you see that like how like intelligent she is, and how like quirky she is when she's drunk, or like how she's really just like even when she let Toru stay there, and then later on she lets another dragon stay there, Kana, and it's just like she has nowhere else to go, so she's like, she offers up her place. And I just think that, I mean, it shows that she's just like a nice person. And the other thing that I think is the humor is really on point in this show too. Like even the what are they called? The episode titles are hilarious. Like for episode 2, it's like second dragon appears, and then in quotations it's like, yeah, this is a spoiler. And I was like, that's hilarious. Because I always get mad at like anime titles sometimes, especially with One Piece, because they will like give the worst spoilers in the titles. Like even another spoiler alert, when Ace dies, the headline was like, Ace dies, Luffy like gets sad or something, and it was just like, well, thanks. And that, before I thought he might survive, but now I know he ain't gonna make it. Like, do I even need to watch the episode?
I'm just gonna start sending you One Piece titles.
Oh my god, it'd be the worst. I'd hate it so much. But yeah, but this, I think, just the fact that they kind of like poke fun, and it's just really silly and playful, but it's also like kind of takes itself seriously. Like the dragons are like actually menacing at times, but they're also just like cute and funny, and they're all girls, which is also cool. Well, actually no, they're not all girls, but I think 3 of the 4 we've seen have been women or girls, and that's been really cool. Or even like there's another joke which is like super silly, but just like made me giggle like another moment, because the dragon has like really big boobs, and she's like, Kobayashi's like, what size are you? She's like, D for dragon. I'm just like, this is so dumb, but it's so funny and silly. It's just super cute, and yeah, I love it. I
can tell.
I do. I'm gushing. I know. It's amazing.
I'm glad. I guess one of these days I'll get around to it. It's on my list. I mean, you are watching it through our Crunchyroll guest pass, so. I
am. Gotta wait for your next one to watch the next episodes. No, I mean, I'll probably just watch it with commercials, to be honest, but yeah, it's so good. And it, like, they just have episodes, too, that, for, I think in other anime, or even other shows, like, when they just have the episode when it's like, oh, we're moving from, like, this one place to another, like, almost like a filler episode. But even like the 3rd episode of this one is almost a filler, but it works. Like, it's still just really enjoyable. Like, I could just sit around and watch this show like on a lazy day and feel really happy about it.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not going to go into the only spoiler I know about the series, so I'm not going to ask.
Okay.
I'm going to respect you, even though you spoiled everybody on One Piece.
I said spoilers. Spoiler alert.
Again?
Who? Ace.
So now, if you want to spoil
No.
this old school, go to her Twitter, at Victoria L. Johnson.
That is
and just
not
spoil
my
something
at.
else.
That's not even my Twitter handle, first of all. Secondly, unsolicited spoilers are not cool. And you
They
have
are
to do...
solicited because you're listening to this episode.
I'm not going to answer that, but I said spoiler alert in the beginning, and you could have stopped listening, or you could fast forward.
Sorry, it's at Miss Old School with a K instead of a CH.
Exactly, because it's cooler.
But I think I'm getting distracted and trying to spoil your life because you actually did a lot of spoilers today, so I'm actually kind of surprised.
Blah. Anywho.
Let's get into our weeks in hip-hop,
Yep.
which are a little bit lighter than usual.
Yeah, that's true. You've been listening to Midnight Marauders. How's that been?
Yeah, I've been. So I'm gonna say like my big hip hop confession. I'm not a big fan of Low End Theory.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, I'm a terrible person, and I've been trying to figure. Wait, say that again.
First, you diss Wonder Woman.
I did not diss Wonder Woman. Let's be clear. Let's get the phrasing right.
You said it was terrible.
Anyways, so here's my scenario. I like People's Instinctive Travels a lot. Like, I nearly love that film. That first album. I went into Low End Theory, and I've heard the explanation, and I listened to it, and I get it. I get what makes it special. But I don't really like it that much. I was like, alright. Midnight Marauders. This is it. This is going to be the make or break for me of, like, me loving Tribe. Because, like, I love the first album. I don't love the second one. And that's supposed to be the classic album. So I'm like, this is the other classic album. So I hope I do. And by golly, I think I've got it. And I think everything that everything I was trying to understand about Tribe was really explained to me by me understanding the humor of Fife. And I think that's something that never really connected with me, is just like really appreciating Fife's humor. And on 8 Million Stories to Tell is just like you're just a collection of just bad things going on in Fife's life. And it just becomes like it just keeps piling on, and I think the humor didn't hit me for like the first few listens at all. I mean, I just started just laughing. I mean, I think the thing that got me, I'm just like, all right, this is great, is when he says at the end of the track, he's like, on top of that, Starks got ejected. And I think he captures the whole idea of like, when nothing's going right, big or small in your life, like, it's always the small things you're just like, oh, that happened too. Like, you just start piling on the smaller stuff because, like, none of the other stuff that you wanted to go right, you're like, this basketball game's going to be amazing. And it's like, oh, Stark, why? And I was like, I felt, like, I know that feeling of, like, oh, man. Like, that level of, like, disappointment in a thing that's not really that important, but because everything else is not going as well for you, it just becomes, like, a bigger disappointment. And I think Fife captured that. And even, like, he was a star of, like, the other favorite track on that, We Can Get Down. Talking about, like, hip-hop can be this positive thing. I love that track. I love the hook. And then Tip, and understanding how, like, Tribe navigates, like, being, quote-unquote, conscious. Because it's not, like, they're conscious a lot on their first album. I'm not sure if I would say that as much on Low End Theory. I'm going to have to re-listen to really pick that up. But even just, like, more specifically, it's a lot more playful. Like, that's who they are as, like, a group. And they're able to weave in, like, we're going to be jokey and whatever, and then weave in a very important story. I mean, that's what they did on, maybe it was on Low End Theory, where it's like, that's a classic theory of a date rape, talking about, like, so, like, you can have us, and then on late...
One about record producers,
yeah.
One about shady.
Yeah, it's like, industry rule number 480. Yeah. Uh, so like it's always important for them to be like very silly and whatever. I mean, like Fife to me on a Stir It Up is like, oh, they're just talking. I was like, it's like I forgot what Fife says. Like Linden Boulevard represent. Tribe Called Quest represent. My favorite jam back in the day was Eric B for president. I mean, it's just like it's a cool just rap for rap's sake. But in the middle of that tip would be like, yeah, things are going kind of crazy, like police brutality, whatever. I mean, it just goes back to just rapping about the same thing. Like it's always just like this very casual tone, and I think that's I realize is the charm of them.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's funny because, I mean, we talk about your niche chase a lot, but I'm surprised you didn't call out Electric Relaxation or War Tour. I mean, they're both the singles of the album, but I thought Electric Relaxation would stuck out to you at least.
It's not to say that they don't stand out. Like I think the entire album is great, but I just like when I talk about getting them, I think Electric Relaxation is definitely a part of me getting them, but it really goes down to like once I got 8 million stories to tell, everything else just fell in place for me. I was like, I like Electric Relaxation, I like Award Tour. So I'm not suggesting otherwise. I feel like you're trying to make me against the people again.
I'm not. Maybe.
Look, you know what? Since clearly you could just talk about Jook music, because I feel like this is what this is really about. You're just like, let's make Marcus a bad guy, and I could be like the fun person in the podcast. So go ahead. I'm gonna let you talk. You did a full blow. You did the full blowout.
So, yeah, this is just gonna start off bad and end bad.
Just reminder, she's from Florida. This is a very important part of his story. So go ahead. This is the reason why she has terrible taste. Sorry, go ahead.
So, DJ Khaled released a song To The Max. I think about 2 weeks ago.
Wow,
I know.
2 years ago.
My mind's all over the place. Maybe about a week ago. No Bobby Shmurda. And he basically took this sound that was very popular in South Florida around like 2006 to 2009 called Jook music, which is where you had like Iceberg, Bizzle, NMD Stunners, like all these guys, Grind Mode. And it was funny because until that song came out and people were like, oh yeah, you did Jook music, I never really thought of it as like this subgenre that was going on. Like I knew like there are these various songs coming out with a similar sound, but to me it was just like, oh, this is underground Florida music. And that's always how I thought of it. And then hearing Khaled like kind of bring that sound back made me think of how it really was like this subgenre and this huge movement that was going on at the time, because like you were hearing those songs everywhere, like not necessarily on the radio stations, but like DJs at parties were playing it. You know, we were at school events, we were playing it, you know, pep rallies, like those were the songs. And they're just so much fun. And they were on like our MySpace pages, like just to tell you how old this is.
Just to tell you how old Victoria is. Like, what, 37?
Hey, you're older, so what does that make you, alright? You're like 60.
Okay.
62, that's what you want to be, right? So, yeah, so it's funny, but so I kind of been going down memory lane for the past week and just like listening to all these songs and just going back and realizing how like terrible in like tone they were, like as far as the lyrics, like wow, like just some terrible stuff. But I was just, it's makes me want to dance so badly. Like I'm listening to this, like this is so terrible, but why am I dancing?
How you got to speak to Iceberg Slim? I keep saying Iceberg Slim. Sorry, Iceberg Billionaire.
So, wow, way to just throw billionaire in there. No, he formerly Iceberg, now he's Ice Billionberg.
Okay, I was close.
You were close. It was just funny. Oh, Iceberg Billionaire. That's actually a pretty good name. So yeah, I did get to speak to him. It was really cool just because there was kind of...
On your article, too.
Oh, true. Yeah, I got published in Vibe for the first time. Hey. I'm sorry. Yay. Yeah.
So we're going to drop a link somewhere, but I feel like it's important to plug yourself / talk about the interview, because that must have been part of the nostalgia trip as well.
It was, because he definitely made one of my favorite Jook songs. I have probably like 4. Like there's Stick Drill, which is by Iceberg. There's I forgot the song, but it's by Grind Mode. Lit by an Animal by Bizzle, and Pull Out the Stick by NMB Stunners, which is a terrible song, but it's so catchy and good and fun, and it's a great car riding song. But anyway, so yes, I did get to speak to Iceberg, which was really cool, or Ice Billionberg, and he just like talked about his support for Cali, because there was like some people who kind of felt some type of way about him using that sound and not using a South Florida rapper, because he got Drake on it.
You mean Chameleon Man?
Exactly. This year Drake is South Floridian. But yeah, so there was that. But he was kind of saying, and I thought like it was a really smart and well thought out answer, where it's like, yeah, like that's true, but Drake is a huge artist and DJ Khaled's huge, and by them making this sound popular and like, obviously there's more interest in it now. Like there's been like at least 3 articles out on it, 2 by me, and and like they're getting the coverage and they're getting the shine that they wouldn't have got probably if this didn't come out, if he didn't do that. So that was just really cool to hear on that end, and just like hearing about what he's doing now. Like he's not exactly doing Jook, but just he's doing like similar things, kind of like Jook inspired songs, and that was pretty dope.
That's not bad. You're not a terrible person.
Yay! Yeah, and I mean this kind of goes into our theme, but those songs too were like songs we listened to during the summer and just like at parties and having fun. But yeah.
And if you can't tell, you can tell the one who enjoys parties and the one who doesn't.
I do like parties.
And enjoys dancing and who doesn't.
And dance music and who doesn't.
Yeah. This is why it's important that we're both on this podcast, and it's not just me and it's not just her.
This is true. Because, yeah. That'd be interesting. But not well-rounded.
Yeah.
Hashtag geeks on rap.
And you knock it out of the park. Our theme is talking about just like what reminds you of the summer, and what about in nerddom and what in hip hopdom, and then we're gonna ask you guys essentially like what comes to your mind when you like what nerdy things like are like that's summer to me, or hip hop things that's summer. And I'm gonna go first because it started what essentially today / last night / yesterday. By the time y'all listening to this, the E3 would be pretty much done, because I don't think I'm going to get it up before Wednesday. Mm. And yeah, E3 is by far that there are 3 signals of a summer for me in general, of like it's summertime. There's an NBA finals going on, E3's happening, and EVO, the fighting game tournament's about to happen. Those are the 3 things, and specifically 2 of those things are nerd related. And I have too many memories of E3. Every year, I go back to an old commercial I used to watch on G4 TV. Mm-hmm. And they had this commercial about this guy singing like, "Believe it or not, I'm watching E3." And it captured a whole thing of like being a video game fan in back an earlier era. Like E3 is this mystical event, like all the shiny brand new video games are going to get announced, and I can't wait to see what these press conferences are going to look like. Moments exist in our memories. Like if you ask a traditional person who's watched E3, they're going to mention the Zelda. Or if you're an OG head like before me, they'll mention Metal Gear Solid 2's reveal. They'll talk about Smash, Snake and Smash. You'll talk about I think Halo 3's showing was pretty solid. You talk about the most blasphemous showing of Killzone for PS3, but there's so many iconic moments, and they're all in the summertime. I remember it'd be times where you block out that day to watch, and it's weird because I feel so much more jaded as a video game fan, but I don't experience it the same way at all. I missed EA's press conference, but I didn't think it was going to be good. I missed Microsoft's press conference because I didn't think that was going to be interesting. I'm going to watch Sony tomorrow, and I'm going to watch Nintendo, but it's I've lost a little bit of fervor, but it is so still to me the summer has arrived.
Well, what E3 do you remember the most?
I so this sounds bad, but it's probably truthful. It's probably the one where they announced the Wii U. Like, it is the one where, like, everyone hates it. It is, like, everyone hates the Wii U and whatever, but it's like, if I'm thinking correctly, I think that's the one where I probably will have the most memories attached to, like, watching it and seeing what happens. I remember the Twilight Princess moment, clearly, because that's, like, Miyamoto coming out with, like, his blazer, the mushroom, and then he has the, like, there are too many good, like, moments. But beginning to end E3, it's either that or going back to, like, 2007 when we first saw, like, the first year of the Wii, where we saw Mario Galaxy, Metroid Prime 3 in the same press conference. This was in the middle of my exams. I was just like, yo, this is a great moment of my life. But, so I think those are some of them. And then even, I'd go as far, I think it's either last year or the year before where people called it, like, the E3 of Dreams, which is Sony's press conference where they're like, we're going to announce the Final Fantasy VII remake. We're going to announce Kingdom Hearts 3. Great moments. Although it's going to be one of those things where, like, we aren't never going to be playing those games for another 3-4 years. So did you really need to announce them? Yeah.
I mean, they just dropped the Kingdom Hearts 3 trailer, but, you know, that's not going to be released for, like, another 50 years.
That right, that's my point, is, like, it's such a good moment. Like, that year was special. Like, they brought back The Last Guardian that year. Like, it was a bunch of really cool stuff, so I do think it was last year or so. But we're just not going to see it. Like, we're playing Last Guardian, but that's the only game we're playing from that.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Sony, my thing that I'm picking is Grand Theft Auto. Like, for me, that means summer. Like, I remember playing that game. So, like, Grand Theft Auto was only on PlayStation, if I'm correct.
For a while, it ended up on 360, and then pretty much not. Yeah. So let's put it this way: if you played anything that's not Grand Theft Auto 4, so anything before Grand Theft Auto 4, it's on a PlayStation system.
Okay, so those are the ones I played.
Okay.
I played Vice City and San Andreas, which I think is
PlayStation 2 exclusives.
Right. So, yeah, so that's, you're saying Sony, I'm like PlayStation, Grand Theft Auto, Segway, done. So, yeah, like, for me, it's two things. It's just the cover of Vice City always to me just, like, looks like summer. Like, the colors are just, like, super, like, neonish and just, like, and there's, like, a guy in a car.
Yeah,
and then the other thing is, yeah, so the other thing is, just, I remember, like, playing the game and, like, really enjoying playing it, but I think the thing I love the most is just driving around in the car and listening to the radio station.
Those 80s tunes, right?
Yeah, the music was so good, like, both in Vice City and in San Andreas. Like, San Andreas had, like, some good hip-hop. Vice City had some, like, real, like, the 80s tunes, like those, like, I would just, like, steal a car and just ride around and just listen to the radio. And, like, that was just, like, I'm just, like, driving around and just, like, playing that during the summer and, like, it being kind of summer in the game, or feeling like summer in the game. And that's summer to me.
That's good. I guess we're going straight into hip-hop based on your San Andreas thing.
That works. Segue done.
I think this is the best segues we've ever had in this entire...
No, it's been amazing.
It has been.
You probably just help that I, like, call out the segues every time.
It probably doesn't, but we're going to make it work. I think when it comes to hip-hop, I didn't want to go into songs and so forth because that's going to go into our what question. But the other thing is, like, I think of free concerts. I mean, I've seen J. Cole once live, and it was during mixtape era J. Cole, before I had an album J. Cole, before I went platinum with no features J. Cole twice. J. Cole.
I feel like it's a J. Cole rhyme like that. I wish I knew it.
Yeah. Long story short, it was just around Friday Night Lights era. And it was a great performance, but I think when I was in New York, that free concerts were definitely a thing. I mean, they had a bunch of them in Central Park. To me, that's summer. That's that's the summer experience.
Hmm.
Getting to see your favorite rapper for free.
That's totally true. Like for me, it's the same thing. Like free concerts in New York are just like all summer. Like that is just amazing. Like I think what did I see this year? I've seen MC Light for free. I've seen Queen Latifah. I've seen Erykah Badu. Like there's a lot of dope concerts in New York City. But that's not. Mine's is actually I haven't seen this person in for free. I haven't seen this person at all. So for me, when I think of summer, in hip hop, I thought of Trick Daddy's "Take It to the House," and it might be because I'm in this Florida like groove this week. That song is just so much fun. Like it's one of the like ultimate party songs that doesn't get that much love all the time. Like I think we hear a lot about like you get Poison a lot, and you get what's the other song that everyone loves that people always talk about?
You're asking the wrong person. I don't know what everybody loves.
I'm mad. I forgot this because this has been like our debate for the past like 2 months. Back that ass up by Juvenile. Those two songs.
The podcast is over.
But it's true though. Those two songs get the most love, and like as far as party music goes. But I think Trick Daddy Take It Out, like that song is just so much fun to me and like super summerish.
You're the worst.
Probably. So anyway, so that leads us to our what question?
I don't know if I want to answer anymore.
But you gonna, maybe, hopefully, I hope so, please.
Fine. So the what question is really just like, what albums do you listen for summer or represent summer for you? And the two albums that really come to mind are Big Willie Style, Wilson. Like, if we're talking about having fun as your primary directive for the summer, I feel like Miami is definitely a track you gotta play. You gotta play Big Willie Style. You gotta play Lester. Like, that entire album is a really just straight up feel good album. I love that album. It's still like there was a time where Will Smith was my favorite rapper, and a lot of it had to do with how much I appreciated that specific album.
Also, we should probably mention that we both purposely excluded Summertime and the Summertime mixtapes by DJ Jazzy Jeff.
Yes, we did purposely.
They were way too easy. It was just like
right.
Obviously, so
yes, we did. Nobody needs to remind you that exists.
Wait, no. That's amazing. That song is amazing. You don't like that song?
No, I said nobody needs to remind you that it exists. Like, you already know.
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying, like...
No. I was not saying anything. I was not saying anything of the sort. You really want the fan base not to like me.
Mm-hmm.
You're just trying to replace me with someone who likes Jook music. I think this is what this entire podcast has been about.
No, we need the balance. I can't be left out of control.
Sure.
The Jook rabbit hole.
Clearly. And then the other one is a mixtape that by Wale called Back to the Future. And I think a part of it is that I remember working one summer and that was like my playlist. But I definitely think that it is just such a basic concept of like to use Wale's words, like niggas be rapping be. That's literally what he decides to describe what the tape is about. And to me, it for an album that's literally just about like people be rapping, you get amazing bars, you get amazing guest performances. Like anybody who was anybody, especially like in like 2010 and so forth, showed up on that project. Even Big Sean had a good verse. Like it was Big Sean had a good verse on that. Like that's how good that project was. You got a good Big Sean verse, probably the only one in existence.
The Big Sean hate is real from TheWolvesden.
Yeah, look, I don't want to hear anybody ever ask me if I gave Big Sean a good shot, because I listened to Family Famous Volume 1, I listened to Family Famous Volume 2, and Volume 3. I gave him all the shots he deserves.
But did you listen to Dark Sky Twit? What was it?
Why would I do such a thing after your three free projects? There's another one called like Big Sean. Like I listened to all of them. And Big Sean has never given me a verse that's better than his freestyle take of Mind Playing Tricks on Me. It doesn't exist. And I like Super Duper, don't get me wrong, but I'm not listening to an album full of Super Dupers. Y'all could keep that to yourselves.
I don't know, Sway.
But I'll let resident Big Sean lover.
I like him. I don't know if I love him, but I do like Big Sean.
I'll let you talk, because clearly you want the people to hear me.
You gonna let me talk, Kanye? Okay. Or you gonna let me finish?
I'm not. Just go ahead.
Anyway, so for me, what came to mind was Nas' Hip Hop is Dead. Like, I remember listening to the remix he did for, or one of those songs. Basically, he brought, like, a whole bunch of, like, the old school rappers on there. Oh, Where Are They Now? Like, those songs just, like, super, like, summery to me. Just the whole album, like, it was just, like, kind of upbeat.
So you're telling me the concept of hip-hop being dead is an upbeat concept?
I'm saying, hey, don't try to I'm saying that the album is upbeat, and Nas was very excited about breaking into DJ booths and rapping on it. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. And then just like a little asterisk, like I really think Nas is the Don from Life is Good.
Yes.
Similar feel.
Yes, that.
And that feels like summer for me too. Just like kind of upbeat, just like party, but you know, it's like sit back and listen to it. Like it's just chill, but it's fun, and it's a cool song.
And I think we've covered it.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Nerds on Hip Hop. We loved having you. I hope you enjoyed. I think we've bantered more than we ever normally do.
I think so too. It was really great. I think this might be one of our best episodes. So thank you so much for listening.
Yeah, and hopefully y'all enjoy the banter. And if you have answers, or like, how did y'all not talk about such and such about nerds, this thing in Nerd and Summer, or such and such for hip hop and summer? Hashtag Nerds on Hip Hop. If you do that, we're gonna find you. We'll respond. You can at me at TheWolvesden25. You can at Miss Old School with a K.
With the K.
Email us at nerdsonhiphop@gmail.com, and I'm gonna let the better co-host carry us out. So have at it, Sailor Scout.
Quote unquote better. So yeah, once again, thank you for listening to Nerds on Hip Hop. And like I mentioned, I'm Victoria, aka Sailor Scout. But you can follow me at Miss Old School with a K, or you can follow the Wolvesden at TheWolvesden25.
Twitter, Instagram. I think that's it. Yeah. We're very thankful for you guys. We look forward to taking y'all forward. Catch you later. Sayonara, son.
Bye.